Why 99% of people stay poor, while the top 1% use those same hours to get rich. What if I told you that your free time is the single biggest factor deciding whether you're rich or stuck in the same place 5 years from now? Would you believe me? 99% of people spend their free time the exact same way, scrolling through their phone, watching one short video after another, talking about other people's lives, without even noticing that 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours have quietly disappeared. But 1% of people use that exact same time in a completely different way. And that's exactly why, a few years down the road, some people are still stuck at the same paycheck, while others have completely transformed their lives. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 things that turn ordinary free time into a real money-making asset. And the most important part, the 7th and final point, is the one most people skip right over. That's a mistake because that one habit is exactly what separates the people who just dream from the people who actually get results. Stick around until the end, because halfway through I'm going to tell you a story that will change the way you look at every single evening of your life. The problem nobody talks about out loud. Picture an ordinary guy. Let's call him John. He's 27 years old. He works an office job, makes decent money, nothing extraordinary. Every weekday after work, he spends about 4 hours on social media and short videos. Let's do the math together. 4 hours a day is 28 hours a week. 28 hours a week adds up to more than 1,400 hours a year. And 1,400 hours is almost 60 full days of nonstop time spent just watching other people's lives. 1 year goes by, nothing changes. 3 years go by, same paycheck, just higher prices at the store. 5 years go by, and he's still wondering why other people manage to get rich, and he doesn't. Here's the real trap. John isn't lazy. He works hard at his day job. The problem isn't the job. The problem is exactly what happens in his free time. Those hours after 6 p.m. that determine whether next year looks just like this one, or whether everything changes. It's not about luck. It's not about how much free time someone has. It's about what they actually do with it. Let's get into the 7 specific things you need to start doing tonight. Habit number 1, develop one high-income skill, not 10 shallow ones. Most people try to learn everything at once, a little design, a little coding, a little marketing, a little copywriting. A year goes by, and none of it goes deep enough, and nobody's willing to pay for that. Pick one skill, copywriting, video editing, sales, or data analysis, for example, and give it at least 30 minutes a day for 90 days straight. 30 minutes a day is nothing compared to the 4 hours of scrolling we just talked about. Here's how it actually plays out. The first 30 days, you're just figuring things out and making mistakes. The next 30 days, you're doing your first small projects, maybe even for free, just to build your portfolio. In the last 30 days, you're already looking for your first paying client. After 90 days of that, you'll be ahead of 90% of beginners in that field. And that's exactly when the first gigs show up. The first money comes in, and eventually a steady income follows. A friend of mine, let's call him Mark, did exactly that. He learned short-form video editing in the evenings over 3 months. His first job paid almost nothing, just to get a review. 6 months later, he was making more from editing than from his day job, and he eventually quit it for good. Habit number 2, read about money and business for 20 minutes a day. It doesn't matter if it's a book, an article online, or a podcast on your commute. What matters is that the topic is finance, investing, or entrepreneurship. A single insight from a good book can be worth an entire year's salary if you apply it at the right time. 20 minutes a day is less than 2% of your day, but those minutes are what shapes your thinking for years to come. Think about it. 20 minutes a day adds up to about 120 hours of reading a year. That's roughly 15 full books a year, when most adults don't even finish one book a year. Build the habit of reading right before bed or right after waking up, rather than in moments when you're already tired and just want to zone out. Your brain absorbs information best in exactly those two windows, morning and right before sleep. Habit number 3, start building a second income in the evenings. You don't need to quit your day job and jump into something risky. Start small, 1 hour a day, one client, one small product or service. 6 months from now, that small evening project could be earning more than your day job. For a lot of people, that's exactly how their path to financial freedom began, 1 hour in the evening. Here's an example. A woman named Sarah worked as an accountant, and in the evenings, 1 hour a day, she started doing bookkeeping for small business owners as a side project. A year later, she had 5 steady clients, and her evening income matched her day job salary. A year after that, she quit her job entirely and started her own business. The key rule here: don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect idea. Start with one client, one small service, and refine it as you go. Habit number 4, make one valuable connection every week. Don't confuse this with pointless networking for the sake of networking, where people just trade business cards and never talk again. This is about real, substantial conversations with people who are already where you want to be. One conversation like that a week adds up to 52 meaningful new connections a year. And statistically, at least 1 or 2 of them can change the direction of your career or business through a referral, an introduction to a new circle, or a connection to the right client or partner. Once a week, send a real message to someone whose work or results you admire. Not just, hey, how's it going? But a genuine question, a comment on their work, or an offer of some small value on your end. Most people never message anyone at all, so even one message a week already puts you ahead of 99% of people. Habit number 5, invest in your health, not just your money. 30 minutes of physical activity a day directly affects your energy, focus, and ability to earn. This isn't an exaggeration. It's backed by science and by the habits of thousands of successful people. Someone who feels good physically makes clearer decisions, stays focused longer, and burns out less often at work. This isn't a luxury or a waste of time. It's just as much an investment as putting money into stocks or your own education. 30 minutes a day is only about 2% of your day. But those 30 minutes decide whether you'll have the energy in the evening for that second income stream we talked about, or whether you'll just collapse on the couch with nothing left in the tank. Habit number 6, review your finances once a week. 15 minutes every Sunday to check where your money went that week, how much is left, and what could be optimized that saves you hours of panic and stress at the end of the month. People who stay in control of small amounts of money end up staying in control of large amounts too, once their income grows 5 or 10 times over. And people who never track small expenses lose control just the same way when the big money starts coming in. Every Sunday evening, take 15 minutes, open your banking app, look at what you spent that week, and ask yourself one question: which of these expenses was actually necessary, and which one just happened on autopilot? Habit number 7, the most important one: turn an idea into action within 48 hours. This is the real difference between people who dream and people who get results. Most people have dozens of good ideas, but between the idea and the first step, weeks go by, months go by, and sometimes the idea just stays an idea forever. Let's go back to Mark's story with video editing. Want to know what the hardest part actually was? It wasn't learning to edit. The hardest part was taking that first step within the first 2 days after he decided to try. Most people put it off until Monday at that point. And then from Monday, it becomes next month, and the idea quietly dies. If you just heard something useful, a new skill, a new opportunity, a new income idea, give yourself one simple rule. The first step, even a small one, has to happen within 48 hours. Not next week, not whenever there's time, within 48 hours. It can be anything: sending that first message to a potential client, downloading the program to learn a new skill, setting aside your first bit of money in a separate account for investing. The size of the step doesn't matter. What matters is the speed between thinking it and doing it. That single habit is what separates the 1% who turn free time into results from a 99% who just consume content and move on with their day. Wrap up. Let's recap all 7 points. 1. Develop one high-income skill instead of 10 shallow ones. 2. Read about money for 20 minutes a day. 3. Build a second income stream in the evenings, starting small. 4. Make one valuable connection every week. 5. Invest in your health with 30 minutes of activity a day. 6. Review your finances for 15 minutes every Sunday. And 7. The most important one, turn any idea into action within 48 hours. If you watch this video all the way to the end, you're already part of that 1% who genuinely wants to change something, instead of just listening to nice words and closing the video. Leave a comment telling me which of these 7 habits you're going to start tomorrow. I really do read these, and I'll try to reply personally. And if this video was useful, subscribe and hit the bell, because there are a lot more videos coming about how ordinary daily habits turn into real financial freedom. See you in the next video.